All right, ladies and gentlemen, happy Wednesday morning, happy hump day. Let's go ahead and take a look at some more Seahawks headlines here. Yesterday was a pretty busy day for the team. They made a handful of moves, they announced a handful of positive things in terms of injuries. So I doubt today we'll be able to match it, but we'll see. We'll see. Um, One thing that I want to mention before we get into the main part of this video, which we'll be looking at some of Pete Carroll's comments about some players and some things that the team may or may not do in the coming days. Yesterday, in my third video, I mentioned the fact that the Seahawks were getting several players back from injury in practice, which was a very positive sign for the team. I mentioned Posick, Geno Smith, Travis Homer, and Tyler Mabry. I didn't even get the half of it, actually. There were a lot of Seahawks who hit the practice field yesterday after an extended period of not practicing. So you had those four guys, and those four guys are a big deal for this last preseason game, and some of them when the regular season starts. Um, excuse me. Cedric Ogbuehi, which is kind of a big deal with the Dwayne Brown situation. Penny Hart, who I think will make the team as a receiver and special teamer, so that's a big deal as well. Marquise Blair, which I don't know what his role is going to be, but I know he's going to have one, so that's significant. And he needs some preseason reps because he's young. DJ Reed, very big deal because he's the only corner we have any real confidence in right now. And John Radigan. So yesterday at practice, we got a total of 9 guys back who had been missing practice due to injury before. And the timing of these returns and the fact that they're all getting back onto the practice field before the last preseason game almost makes me wonder if the injuries were completely legitimate, if they weren't being exaggerated, if there wasn't some desire on the part of the team to hold out as many guys as humanly possible for the first 2 preseason games and just come up with some excuse for those guys to just sit it out, let the bottom end of the roster go at it, and just the guys that you don't need to see, just let them sit. I mean, obviously, Geno Smith was legitimately hurt. We know that. Tyler Mabry probably was too because he was fighting for his practice, for his roster spot. But getting all of these guys back at once almost has me wondering. Almost. Could there have been. Is this another sign, basically, that the Seahawks basically punted on utilizing the preseason for anything very useful? The one or two, well, two negative things that we heard yesterday from practice. Ryan Neal, we know he's hurt. We don't know how long he's going to be out. I haven't heard anything about that yet, but he did not practice, which is not surprising. I don't know what Ryan Neal's going to do this year, but I know he's going to do something, so hopefully he's fine. And disappointingly, Trey Brown, who seems to be doing pretty well, did not practice either. He has some sort of leg issue, and if there was ever a guy who needed the preseason reps, it's him. So hopefully he can be out there on Saturday against the Chargers. Um, by the way, I didn't really say this in the post game video because it wasn't something that I was really that aware of. But apparently Trey Brown was not targeted in coverage once against the Broncos, so that's pretty good because he did get a decent number of coverage reps. Quandre Diggs also held out as well. I don't know if that's an injury or not. Obviously, that's a blow if it is, but it could just easily be some sort of rest thing because he's another one of those veterans that you don't necessarily need to see out there doing all this stuff in practice. So the injury front, it seems to be clearing up. Things are getting a little sunnier right now. All these guys, 9 different guys, and these guys are of different levels of importance. Posick is DJ Reed. Those guys are really important to have. John Radigan and Geno Smith, not so much. But regardless, we're getting a lot of guys back. That's the main thing I wanted to highlight here. It's good news. I'm feeling good about it. Um, I also wanted to see what Carroll had to say about a few things. He was asked about a couple things, and I thought it'd be interesting to go into it a little bit. So, um, he made a couple comments about the Luke Wilson stuff, which isn't particularly important. Um, One highlight from practice yesterday, and I want to mention this because even though Tyler Lockett making sick catches is not anything that we're surprised by at this point. He does it all the time. But Brady Henderson highlighted this one play in 7-on-7 where Lockett put a double move on Randall in the end zone, and Lockett made an over-the-shoulder catch as they both fell out of bounds. It was a really good, really impressive catch, and this is definitely another positive development on the injury front because Lockett was nursing a groin injury. So the fact that he's putting double moves on people in practice tells me that he's most of the way, if not all the way back. So on the injury front, things continue to get brighter and brighter. So it's good to hear that Lockett's feeling good enough to put double moves on Demarius Randall in practice. One other thing that came from practice yesterday is Ahkello Witherspoon, and this guy is well on his way to becoming the most controversial player on the Seahawks. Some people love his potential. A lot of people think he's garbage. We're all over the map with Ahkello Witherspoon right now. I personally believe he has a lot of potential, and I want to give him every opportunity to reach that potential with us. I feel like this guy could be a great corner in this system, in this scheme, but I fully acknowledge the fact that he may not get there. It's, I'm not promising anything. I boldly predicted he would make the Pro Bowl this year. We'll see, but I freely admit that it could easily go the other way. Ahkello had a really good practice on Tuesday, had a pick of Geno Smith where he actually peeled off his man in coverage. He also broke up a Sean Mannion pass, so he had a good day in practice, but, we've seen players over the years who have these great days in practice, and actually Trey Flowers is one of them too, a player at the same position as Witherspoon, and it kind of wears on you a little bit to hear about, oh, he had a great day in practice, and then you don't see it in the actual games. So obviously hearing this stuff is encouraging, but Witherspoon only has a few more opportunities to impress this fan base and impress this team before they start yanking on that leash, because I believe that Witherspoon, with the fan base and possibly with the team, has a short leash. So hopefully this stuff starts to translate to the actual games. One interesting note from Carroll from his conversation with Brady Henderson that I wasn't really thinking about when I was talking about moves that this team could make was Nick Bellore at linebacker. And obviously, I don't want Nick Bellore to ever have to play linebacker for this team, like, in a meaningful moment. But Pete Carroll pointed out that our linebacker depth after BBK's ACL tear is not something that he's worried about because Nick Bellore played really well on linebacker on Saturday, and it seems like he's willing to roll with that, which I think is interesting. And given the fact that linebackers, that's an area of this team that we should feel pretty confident in our top end talent on, I guess that's reasonable, and it's actually a good point. This again, Nick Bellore playing on defense would be really bad news this year. I don't want to see that, but the fact that he's capable of doing it without completely embarrassing himself is pretty powerful. So nice to have that flexibility. Finally, Carroll had some comments about the Geno Atkins workout, which I know a lot of Seahawks fans are really interested in, but I think it's safe to say we're not going to sign him until next week if we do. But Carroll basically said he had a good workout. He had some medical things that we wanted to look at, but he looks good. So I continue to believe it will happen. I just don't think it's going to happen until next week. That would be my guess right now. And everything Carroll said leads me to believe that that is still the case. So just a quick video updating on the latest and greatest news with this team. Obviously, we're at the point now where these little training camp tidbits are losing their luster, and we just want to see this stuff translate to a game. I'm wondering if this Chargers game is the only preseason game we're really going to attempt to utilize to get this team ready for the regular season, right? I'm wondering if maybe this is just going to be the one game where we just decide, okay, we're going to play some starters, we're going to play a bunch of key guys, we're going to try to get as many starting units as we can out there, and it might depend on what we're doing with Dwayne Brown. Like, if Dwayne Brown can't go, we might have to scrap that plan, but so many guys came back at the same time. I kind of wonder if maybe we just think we need one preseason game to get those guys ready. time will tell. We'll see what happens on Saturday. I'm out of here. Peace out. Go Hawks. See you guys later today. Maybe we'll get some news.